Hey everybody, welcome to another reaction video for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is for episode, let's see here, episode 18. And in this episode, you guys, if you saw the previous episode, we're very much into the part of the series where Captain America 2 has a huge tie-in to the whole series. This episode very much continues off of that since last episode kind of introduced that. Um, Certain things I'm not going to mention just so you know for those who didn't see the previous episode, and for those who haven't even seen Captain America 2 yet. I'll try to I'll say, oh well, this organization and all that kind of stuff, but I won't get into extra details on those things since Captain America 2 and the previous episode Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. went into a little bit more detail about those certain things. So for the most part, you guys, in this episode, basically the Coulson's agents, they hear about a small base that's hidden somewhere in like the snowy area of the world. I'm not quite sure if it's the Arctic or where they are, but they find this level 6 base, and there's an agent there played by Patton Oswalt, the guy from Ratatouille and Seeking a Friend for the End of the World and Young Adult. He's been in quite a few stuff. He's also a stand-up comedian. He's an agent that basically is in this base, and he's trustworthy because he has all this information about Nick Fury and all these other people. And if you see Captain America 2, you'll know what happens to Nick Fury. What outside sources think happened to Nick Fury and all that kind of stuff. So this episode kind of plays off of that from Captain America 2. Um, and so, basically, they are also trying to figure out where Agent Ward is. For those who saw the previous episode, you kind of know where Ward is kind of going with in this series. So they're trying to find him, because he's still kind of away from the team still after the events of the previous episode. And so they're trying to meet up with him there. They're trying to figure out what he's doing. The Bill Paxton character gets a little bit to do in this episode, quite a bit to do. And we're also reintroduced to the girl with the flower dress. She has an appearance again on the show, and so we kind of work in, how she's connected with Hydra and all that kind of stuff. So once again, not going to go into too much detail about Hydra. And so basically, they're kind of developing the characters. They're developing the dark sides of these, characters that we're slowly trying to figure out, that they're bad. We're trying to figure out, there's still some characters that are kind of a little bit untrustworthy. There's a little small details that haven't been talked about yet, but there are some dark sides of certain characters that, like I said from previous episodes, and Captain America 2, less so Captain America 2 in this case, though, of kind of who's backstabbing everybody and, who's the real trustworthy members of S.H.I.E.L.D. and who's a part of Hydra and all that kind of stuff. And the thing with Skye and Ward from previous episode, from those who saw that scene too, they play off of that a little bit more in this episode. And it sounds like in the next episode after this one, they're going to play off of that even more. So I really enjoyed tonight's episode, you guys. There's some. Actually, I'll just go right into the positives and negatives. How about that? I thought there was some great character development in this episode, with Skye and Coulson and May and Ward, Bill Paxton's character, the girl with the flower dress from previous episodes. A lot of character development in this episode. And I really, really admired that trait of the episode. It really adds a lot of dimension to these characters, and it really adds dimension to just the show itself. And I really admire that whoever directed this episode and wrote the script for this episode really did a tremendous job with that. This is another Captain America 2 heavy episode, and I really like that. I really like how the things going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are very much tying into what's going on with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. And I think Captain America 2 did an even better job than Thor 2 did as far as tying everything together with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and what's going on and everything. So just a tremendous Captain America 2 tie-in again. And I really like the direction they're taking the show because of that. This episode very much showed the dark side of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra even further. Previous episode did this. This episode does this even further. There's definitely a huge dark side of S.H.I.E.L.D. that we're still figuring out, and Hydra is nothing but dark. There's no good to Hydra at all, and they're showing a really interesting depth and dark side to these two organizations, and this episode very much explored both of those organizations in a very interesting way. We get to see more of. Actually, I won't even say the name because for those who didn't see the previous episode, but there's a character that we figure out who's bad. amongst the whole show who has a significant role. They play off his dark side even more. I mean, they really show his dark side in this episode. And from what we saw in the preview clip at the end of tonight's episode, they're definitely going to play off this character even further of just how dark he can go and how, he really didn't mean what he said earlier in the show. And yeah, a very dark side to a certain character. And for those who are watching, and for those who watched last night's episode and tonight's episode, the previous week and this week's, you'll know who I'm talking about as far as which character is really starting to turn dark in the show. It was great to see Patton Oswalt join the show. We have Bill Paxton now. We have Patton Oswalt. We had Jamie Alexander, who played Sif in the Thor film. She had a guest appearance. They definitely Samuel L. Jackson too. A lot of celebrities are really starting to get involved with the show, and I really like that. That really goes to show just how far they're pushing the show, and how much interest and intrigue and outside sources they're getting a part of to be in the show, just because of how good the direction is going with the series. So it was great to see Patton Oswalt get a part of that too. Now, for negatives of the episode, I do think this episode did lack some action scenes. I really wanted some more action scenes in here. Though it was great having character development, though it was great having, more Captain America 2 tie-in, and, we get to explore the dark sides of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra once more. We really needed more action scenes. There just really wasn't a lot of them here. One of them was just more so used as a gimmick to kind of further the storyline along. But really not a lot of action scenes. It just I really wanted some more action in this episode. So hopefully in future episodes we'll get more of that. Um, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but for those who've been watching the show for the most part the entire time, the very last scene they were showing in tonight's episode was really it made me uncomfortable for what the direction they're finally going in. There's an object from a previous episode that I really didn't like. It was the one with the scientist working on that goo thing that can suck people into it. They're bringing that object back, and I really don't like that, just because I really hated that episode so much. It looks like it is returning, and it's going to be significant again, and I didn't want it back. I didn't want the object back. I didn't like that episode. I really wish they would have just laid that to rest and not have bring it back, but unfortunately they are bringing it back, so... So yeah, in future episodes, we're getting this stupid object that nobody cares about again. What we just could have had more Shield and Hydra development and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure the show is going to go in a great direction. They're just bringing back an object from an episode that I really didn't want them to bring back, and they are bringing it back. So I really, like I said, regardless of all the negatives, only had two, so really can't say that I had a lot of negatives. But I really liked tonight's episode. I thought it was great. Like I said, I love the Captain America 2 tie-in, and I loved all the character development they did here, and the dark side of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, and Patton Oswalt joining the show now. So a really good episode tonight, and so I'm really hoping in future weeks, because we are getting pretty close to the season finale, I think. The show's going in a good direction, and I really can't wait to see how it plays out even further. So hope to see you guys here for future videos.